I promise we do actually like golf and like watching golf.
I love golf. I love golf.
Well, I think the last 7 days for at least my lifetime in golf, about 17 years of, being in the golf world, this is the biggest 7 days as far as like un-Tiger related that's ever happened. So
yeah, probably so.
It's okay to have a one opinion once in 17 years about something. So. Welcome back to episode 33 of the Loggerhead Golf Podcast. Appreciate you guys tuning in. And if you haven't done already, tune into our Instagram. We've been doing our 12 Days of Christmas giveaway. We've already had some, winners come in, pick up their gear. And anybody that's not local, we've already shipped out most of their stuff. So be sure to tune in for that. And if you can't get in for that, we can always, for those stocking stuffers, fill them up with gift cards. So it's definitely some good items coming up here.
For sure.
Yep, when in doubt, for those of you that are getting a gift for your golfer and you don't play golf, gift cards always easiest. I know with me, I joke all the time, I want I tell Sarah, don't buy me anything golf-related. I'll take care of that. Just get me a gift card, and then I can do with it as I please. So,
let you pick your poison.
Well, speaking of poison, obviously big news coming out with the USGA last week. That golf ball rollback was officially announced, 2028 for professional, 2030 for amateurs. What's the initial thoughts there when they announced it officially?
Well, we thought about doing a little bit of like an emergency podcast, and then we were like, you know what, let's sit on it. Let's see what all comes out. So we've had a lot of time to digest the news. And my number one thing on it, I'm kind of past the argument of rollback. Rollback's going to happen, so no need to argue that anymore. 11 yards doesn't do anything for me. They're essentially announcing a change that has zero effect on anything.
I say, well, their reasoning for the rollback is to make golf more sustainable.
Dumb.
Right? And so to do that, they're going to roll the ball back 11 yards. But
for people that swing at 120, all right. So we'll backtrack.
So for sustainability and rolling the ball back 11 yards, does that mean now we're going to take 11 yards off of every golf hole in the country and plant what to make it more sustainable? What are we going to do to make the game more sustainable? It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, so what the USGA essentially said with this purification is that for people that swing at 120 right now, they've equated it to, let's just say they start swinging it, and then in the future they're swinging at 125. They're going to make sure those two club head speeds, the ball goes the same distance. So in order to achieve that with the testing, it comes to people that swing at, the top 1% of club speeds, which is I think 110 to 120, may lose them at most 11 yards. The average golfer that swings it between 90 and 100 miles per hour is probably only going to see about a 7-yard loss. And then everybody else, they're saying they're only going to lose, maybe up to 5 yards. Mm-hmm. Me personally, you just coming out saying you've done the test that doesn't prove it. I think there's absolutely no chance that's possible at all. Everything we've learned, on our end from testing and fitting, stuff like this, it's
pretty linear.
Yeah, for sure. For the most part, when you guys want to think about how far you want to hit the ball, it's just simple math. At this launch conditions, at this spin, at this club speed, at this ball speed, the ball can only mathematically go this far. So for the USGA to come out and say, blanketed, we're going to do 11 yards. And then Mike Wan, or is his name Mike Wan? Yeah. He essentially went on TV and was like, well, with this rollback, we're not going to take a golf course that we can't use anymore in major championships and throw it back into the rotation. So what did you achieve?
Yeah, so what did you achieve by making your rule change?
You talked about your sustainability. Yeah. Well, you're not even on the basis of you guys doing this was to utilize different golf courses to save golf courses. So why are you announcing a rollback and not doing anything?
And I think it's important to at least acknowledge the difference. The USGA is not changing the golf ball.
No.
They're changing the way the golf ball is tested, right? And that, by effect, is going to mean that the manufacturers have to produce a different golf ball that will pass that test, essentially, right? they're changing the robots they're going to use for their testing, and we're going to go from swinging 120 currently now to 125, correct?
And they want to make sure that golf ball goes the same distance as the 120
Yeah.
did.
At 125 mile an hour club head speed, it's going to go the same distance as what the ball currently is going at 120.
That's just like, but
that's still going to be.
We're already doing that.
Yeah, I know.
Like playing the difference between a TP5 and a TP5X, it kind of already does that, right, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, you can talk about 3 to 5 yards. I mean, Mizuno, or look at my Golf Spy's longest ball test.
Yeah.
Like if you take the left dash from Titleist against the 30th ranked golf ball, there's a 27-yard difference.
Which I think was the TP5. Yeah, remember we talked about that. It was
yes, I think it was.
I think it was the TP5.
Yeah.
And then TP5X and Mizuno, the Tour X, which is supposedly the slower ball, was actually ranked 2 and 3.
Yeah.
So within these golf manufacturers, whether it's Titleist, Callaway, TaylorMade, whoever, they already have golf balls that are going different conditions as it sits. And I think that's the one thing that I have a problem with the manufacturers all putting out these statements is no one's being bold anymore. You know, like Titleist has probably the most well put together statement on it, where they talk about how the numbers that the USGA using aren't factually correct because through over 4 million shots gathered by TrackMan with the PGA Tour, the numbers the USGA saying don't match up with the actual numbers, right?
Right.
So you have 6 manufacturers of golf balls put out statements that the numbers are wrong, that it's not good for golf. But at the very end of these statements, but
we're following in line
to,
like everyone else.
Correct. We're going to work with the USGA going forward. So the manufacturers have known that.
They really don't have any choice, I guess. But
no.
Boston Tea Party.
I was going to say, I mean,
well, here's the cool part about the USGA keep making all these statements is guess who provides numbers to the public?
Who?
The USGA.
Yeah.
So I thought this one was interesting. I saw it last night when I was reading. The USGA for amateurs have statistically used that's a tongue
words.
There. Words. See, I'm all fired up.
Well, last week words were hard.
Yeah,
You know?
Shot Scope and Arcos.
Yeah.
And with most club manufacturers giving you Arcos for free now, they have about 4 years of data and about, I think that number was 2.7 million golfers to go off of. Mm-hmm. The average group, and this is median of driving distance, between 15 and 19, their average total drive was 243.7. The average 20-year-old to 29-year-old's 242. 30 to 39, 237.7. 40 to 49 was 229.6. 50 to 59, 220. 60 to 69, 206. 70, 79, 191. Averaged out together across the median of men, 225.4 averaged out.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that at 225 yards as an average, or our peak at 243.7, that golf courses are just way too short.
Apparently so. But and there's no matter what they do to change the golf ball to make it past a new test, everyone is going to lose yardage.
Correct.
You know, so.
And then for them to say that golf courses are getting shorter, so if you take away PGA Tour for a second, and Korn Ferry and DP World Tour, we've collectively eliminated 500 golfers.
Yeah. Okay.
The back tees in all tournaments across America, whether it's a CGA event, or whatever tournament series, is used 4.2% worldwide across all golf.
Well, I know, so it's probably been about 10 years or so ago now. An organization called the PGA of America ran a huge promotion program called what?
Tee It Forward.
Tee It Forward.
Yeah.
What was the whole purpose of Tee It Forward? What was it meant to
make
do?
golf more enjoyable because everybody hits it shorter.
More enjoyable.
To get golfers to move forward a tee so they could play a shorter golf course and have more fun while playing.
Because they wasn't hitting it far enough and pace of play was taking a huge critical loss.
Exactly. So, and then now at this point, I guess in 10 years, a lot has changed because now we've decided that golfers hit the ball way too far and the golf courses are way too short. So we can't add tees behind there, right? That wouldn't be sustainable. So now we just got to change the golf ball.
And
it doesn't matter what you do, golfers, and did a lot of people move it tee it forward?
No, because they're hard-headed.
Egos.
Exactly. You want to play the tee that your buddies play. You want to play the same tee you've always played. You compare yourself against how you did last week. I mean, that's part of golf, right? So the 5% that plays from the back tees, they want to see how they do playing from the back tees because they want to play the challenge of the golf course from there, and that's the closest representation they have to compare themselves to like PGA Tour players. Golfers don't want to tee it forward,
but at the
they don't want to lose 5 yards either.
When is the last time you guys ever heard someone on the golf course say the golf course is too short?
Well, never, almost.
I mean, you're different. You're different. When you play a tee forward, you complain that it's too short. But I'm saying let's just say, for example, the 1% of golfers that can actually hit the ball over 250 and they play from the tips of a golf course. When do you ever hear them say this golf course is too short?
99.999% of the time.
Because here's the thing: if a golf course is short from the tips, that's characteristic of the design.
Yeah.
So therefore, I mean, there's a lot of great golf courses that I've played that are only 66, 60, 69, 6,900
even
yards.
Less than that.
That is still crazy challenge. Harbour Town.
Well, look at Tobacco Road. It's what, 65?
Yeah.
60, maybe 66 max.
But there's some beast holes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I didn't even think about
that. Yeah, wearing the hat.
Yeah.
Think about it.
No. You playing that?
It's if it's so much shorter and the golfers are hitting it too far, why has the median score increased 2 strokes in the last 3 years? If the golf course is too short, we should be scoring better.
Well, the USGA is going to go ahead and tell you, well, there's been a lot of new golfers that have come in due to COVID that are bad.
So let's push them away.
Yeah,
exactly. Let's get them out of here.
That's essentially, the USGA is afraid to say that, but this is what they're essentially meaning by it.
I say using Tobacco Road as an example again too. Of distance does not mean difficulty. So Tobacco Road's always been considered or ranked among one of the most difficult golf courses in America, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm. That and Tot Hill Farm.
Yeah. So I mean, and it's one of the shortest
Royal
courses.
New Kent, I think, has been.
So distance does not equate to difficulty.
Score. Yeah.
Course condition, course preparation, fairway width, rough height. I mean, there were other ways that the USGA
and accessibility,
and I feel the PGA Tour, the PGA of America, the people that host the major events and host PGA Tour events could go about making the golf course play more difficult for the elite 1% of the 1% of golfers that play on those leading tours and not affect the average golfer. And the golf ball wasn't the answer. It's just course preparation. Change how you set the golf course up. If you're tired of pro golfers shooting 30 under par in an event,
stop setting up easy.
Stop setting it up easy.
I mean, for example, look at Quail Hollow. The course has what they call as the green mile or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is, 15, 16, 17 or 16, 17, 18.
Yeah.
And what do those players do every year though? They make it longer. They do this, they do that. And they still tear those holes up.
Yeah.
And the USGA looks at that as an equipment problem. I look at that and be like, no, it's just the best golfers in the world are to another level.
Yeah.
They're just crazy good at golf. You give them a good lie, a fairway that runs out a mile, and greens that are somewhat receptive. People don't realize, if you go play Landfall here in Wilmington, that those greens are probably 2.5 to 3 feet faster than the average PGA Tour green.
Yeah, right,
PGA Tour sets up their greens to run 9 to 10 to 11 on the stump at the fastest outside of majors.
Yeah.
So maybe make your greens firmer and faster, and then make your fairways a little longer. So then you actually have to hit decent irons into the green.
So when you watch golf on TV, how far does the ball roll out?
Oh, 30, 40 yards at most
and
events.
More, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's sometimes the camera
can't
loses
find
it, can't track the golf ball fast enough because it's rolling so far.
And then I would say on a fitting side to that, what is a good amount of roll between carry and total distance that we're aiming for in a fitting? What has numbers taught us?
On a simulator, probably 20, 25 yards?
Yeah, 20 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're getting 20 yards, usually your spin parameters, your conditions are where they need to be. Well, anything less than more than that, there's a little bit of deficiency there. Yeah. Either the ball's too knuckly or you're launching it too high.
So it's playing golf courses in our area, when's the last time you've gotten 25 yards of roll in a fairway?
Never.
I was gonna say, I mean, we know I launched the ball high, but I spin the ball next to nothing, right? I never see any roll. I might usually get 1 yard if I'm lucky. So what's causing me to not make the ball roll? It's not how I'm launching it.
It's not the golf. You're playing the lowest spinning ball in the world.
Right? It's the course preparation, right? If the PGA Tour had to play with fairways as soft as what the general golfing public plays, they're going to lose 50 yards off of their
Guess what?
their drives.
Instead of hitting a gap wedge from 150, they're hitting a 7-iron from 170 or 180.
Yeah, I mean, there's simple answers to fix the distance problem.
Well, it's like I keep saying, make golf hard again. You know?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, but now all of this has come out, and we talk about why we think it's a bad. But the reality is, going forward, I'm going to say the general public doesn't have anything worried about. And the reason why I'm saying that is because how little the USGA is doing, they're proving that it come 2028, but right now it's equally as important. It's going to be imperative that you get custom fit for your clubs.
Yep. I say it's going to be even more important than ever now.
Ever, because essentially what they're shooting for is that someone swings at 115 and 120, right? We can still make the golf ball go the same distance as that 120 swinger. But you have to have the perfect launch, perfect spin, perfect ball speed, things from there. And I joked about it the other day. What are we going to see probably with club manufacturers come out in 2028?
Yeah, going back to higher loss again.
Higher loss.
Yeah.
Because I think right now the average golfer is between 0 and 1 down with a driver to try to hit that targeted spin rate.
That's what USGA was saying, yeah.
And all the tour players and elite golfers, all they're going to do is,
start hitting up on it.
Correct. We're going to go to +2, +3.
Well, kind of bringing up equipment and some of the, I would almost call it subtext of the press release that USGA sent out was that, what did they say? After the golf ball, what are they doing next?
Golf clubs.
They're going to start targeting.
Oh, no, it's not after the golf balls. They're on the golf clubs now.
Yeah, they're going to start targeting golf.
So,
they're looking at CT,
and this is where I'm going to say, be
times.
prepared, golf public, in 2028. I mean, that's a little bit of hear me out, but your golf club's going to be changing. Drivers are going to be smaller.
I think what we got to worry about is how much the golf club is going to change in the next 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, I think when they roll out the golf ball, there's going to be an equipment
I'm afraid there will be too.
So, I mean, it's just, I think drivers are going to probably go to 420, 430 cc.
Yeah, and I think the really disheartening thing about it is not saying that certain things couldn't change or whatever. It's just for the USGA to do all this and not take into consideration the normal player. Because if they say they do, they're lying, period.
Yeah.
Because the only thing they keep talking about is when you did the math, it was like 0.0087% of all players in the world. This really affects a lot, right? Mm-hmm. Who holds the USGA accountable for all these changes while golf's at the highest peak it's ever been? And now we're going to change everything to make it harder. So the 2 million players that joined during COVID are now going to be pushed out based off of all this.
I guess you could realistically say their membership. If you're a USGA member, you don't really have any way to make your voice heard other than dropping your membership.
Yeah,
and the only reason,
but that ain't going to work either because then you ain't going to have a handicap. So there's really no way to checks and balance it.
So that's the thing is like now this could turn into a bit. I mean, which it kind of based on the guy. I can't remember his name. It's kind of turning into a power trip for this guy because now he's like, well, we're going to do this.
He started
that,
at the LPGA. Yeah. He's moved around. He has to put his foot down and make his stance. And the interview he had on Golf Channel, NBC, whatever it was just like it was like, dude, are you explaining the change or are you just explaining how you feel?
Yeah.
And what needs to be changed. So
it kind of felt a little bit like Zach Johnson's Ryder Cup interview.
Yeah, it really did. It really did.
It's like, I promise you guys, this is a good decision. What?
Anytime you have to throw "I promise,"
when you guys say, "Now hear me out" in your press conference, probably not a good way to start it.
And if I'm a manufacturer's,
I'm putting my foot down and not doing it.
Yeah, but and Rory said the most important thing, and this is where I tell to all of our listeners, we're going to always be 100% honest with you, but Rory, who's been on every TaylorMade commercial for the last 4 years talking about the golf ball he plays, the golf clubs he plays, he even said it. He goes, the normal golfers, it doesn't matter to you. You guys don't play the same stuff as we do. You don't play the same ball. Well, there you go. You just heard it from the PGA Tour's poster boy, the world's poster boy for golf. He just essentially threw all those commercials he did in the trash where he lied to you. You do not play the same stuff. not even remotely close to the same stuff as PGA Tour players do.
How about
So
this?
don't listen to them when they say it needs to happen, because they're always playing the different equipment to you.
Would a better decision have been to make had been maybe to limit the number of golf balls a single manufacturer can have on the conforming list at one time?
That's what I'm talking about. Like that, three. Every manufacturer can only have 3 balls. And whether they want to make 3 tour balls and sell it to the public, or make 1 amateur ball, 2 tour balls, and sell all 3 to the public.
If Rory wants a special golf ball that only he can play, that's one of that manufacturer's 3 allotted golf balls. For
Well, it kind of gets into the Titleist situation, right? With now that the left dot is available to the public in limited quantities, but then the Pro V1 X Star, it's like most people, especially watching, have probably never even heard of that.
I don't know if people realize how many different versions of the Pro V1 and Pro V1 X exist. Like on
tour, I think there's 8, other than just the plain Pro V1 and Pro V1 X in the left dash of those 3. I think there's 8 total golf balls.
Yeah,
I mean Callaway, same thing. You know, that Star Chrome Soft, that was a prototype. I mean Strixon.
Phil Mickelson's always had a different ball.
Strixon with the Diamond prototype for Koepka. So I mean, these companies are always testing stuff out there.
But
It's not.
That's what you want them to do.
Correct. So it's not a knock on the companies. Like that's part of the R&D process to actually make products better, right?
But I was saying, and that's why I was making my point. It's I want consumers, I want the average golfer to buy things that work for them, not let some professional tell you what you should buy.
Well,
because
some PGA Tour pro tell you what's the best thing for you because they don't know your game.
They don't know your game, but
also, your PGA instructor does.
100%, because we also know what you can have access to and what you can. Everything that they say. I mean, a perfect example was the Ricky Fowler putter, right?
Right.
After Ricky Fowler and Wyndham won with that putter on eBay, they were selling for $1,200. Majority of the ones that were selling on eBay weren't anywhere close to the same replica. And then Odyssey was like, we're going to release the replica.
Yeah.
And it's just the PGA Tour players are the needle. The professional golfers are the needle, but at the same time,
for sure they definitely moved the needle. But what's to the average golf fan, what's the most fun thing to watch in golf?
Ball go far.
Bombs
and low scores.
Bombs.
Quite honestly, like why does everyone enjoy watching the Masters so much?
Because it's hard.
How much parity there is.
Because of Sunday on the back nine, right?
Yep.
You know there's going to be birdies and eagles made, and then there's going to be some bogeys and doubles made because they're chasing those birdies and eagles, right? It's the what could happen if I make this eagle on this drive, a reachable par 5, stuff like that.
Well, it's like the U.S. Open's always been fun to watch, and then they set up L.A. Country Club like a pitch and putt, and it's like, did we watch a U.S. Open, No, it wasn't.
No, I mean, I think back to Winged Foot, when Jeff Ogilvy won. I think he won at +5?
Somewhere in there.
But that golf course, and I mean, it was long, don't get me wrong, but it was tight. I mean, they shrunk the fairways down, and that rough was long.
Yeah, Marion when Justin Rose won at +1.
Yeah.
It was narrow, the rough was long, so if you didn't hit a fairway, you were penalized.
Yeah.
But if you hit the fairway, guess what the golf ball did? It stopped.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It's going to be a conversation that goes for a long time. And I just think that ultimately there's going to be more changes. I think the equipment is going to get it's going to come with it. I don't think, and also I think they just threw out 11 yards, the word 11 yards at most to not scare people.
They don't know yet.
But they don't know anything. Yeah. And I wouldn't trust any USGA's independent. It's like anything. You don't trust one company's independent testing that they say is the best for all.
Well, I mean, you can kind of figure it out with some simple math. So 5 miles an hour of clubhead speed change, right?
Yeah.
And we know through, Launch TrackMan and launch monitors that we have smash factor, right? So a perfect strike smash factor wise is a 1.5.
Yeah, I would say 1.4 to 1.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that means we've got now in ball speed 7.5 mile an hour ball speed, right?
Yep.
So that's potentially what we're going to lose ball speed wise, 7.5 miles an hour.
And what do we say for every mile per hour ball speed is how many yards?
Close to 2.7.
2.7. I would say let's round up 3 yards.
So there you go. If you got 7.5 yards and it's really 3,
it's 21.
That's 21 yards.
Yeah.
Plus a half.
Yeah. USGA fake news.
So it's going to be hard for them to make. So realistically, the ball's got to get faster if we're only going to lose 11 yards with a 5 mile an hour change in club head speed.
Who knows? Who knows? But and that's what and that's the thing. We've seen all the charts now that have come out over the week and stuff like that. That's why we waited till today to talk about it.
Right.
So, I mean, let us know your thoughts on what you think is gonna happen in the future. If you care what golf ball you play, if you think it's gonna affect you, and then we'll go from there. But anything else happen in the golf world? I mean, this weekend was exhausting.
Yeah,
so.
Professional golf as a whole is a tornado of mess right now.
Yeah.
Jon Rahm has now officially signed with LIV for I mean, can't blame him. $300 million up front across $625 million
In 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll do it for a quarter.
I was supposed to say I would do it for less.
Yep.
Can't blame him at all.
No.
Honestly. I know a lot of people are calling him a hypocrite right now because of the things that he's said about how he would never do the
Call your
LIV.
commissioner a hypocrite then.
And I was going to say, I think realistically the bigger hypocrite's the PGA Tour, and I think that's why it's not that big of a surprise that Rahm's going to LIV now.
Yeah, because as soon as Monahan made the announcement back in June, you could see like a lot of these players who have been defending the tour and defending what they did. It's like, well, crap, there's a lot of stuff we didn't know that was going on behind
They kind of
closed
stopped
doors.
defending the tour. Yeah.
It's like, so you guys have actually been hiding all this stuff from us and actually getting more money than what you're saying.
Yeah.
So you can't blame him for changing his perspective because, like Zyre Golf and all these, accounts put out the video of Rahm talking about, that's not real golf and this, that, and the other. It's like, on the same token, if that's the case, then what we just watched this weekend was not real golf, right? Since it was a team event.
Well,
based off the statement, but it was a tour event and everybody was happy.
What did every PGA player say after the Grant Thornton this past weekend?
It was fun. I hope we do more events like that.
We need more of this. It's like, wow, that's funny you guys say that. I mean, they've been doing that tournament for a while now.
yeah, it's fun. It's a
But
cool
let's
event.
talk about so Jon Rahm. He signed a 3-year deal with LIV. What that for a lot of money. Take the money aside. They're giving Rahm ownership stake in his team.
I was
Rahm
like,
gets
to
to
me,
fill his team.
I think the bigger news is the trickle-down effect of this.
And supposedly Rahm signing, there's going to be adjustments made to the format. Whether that's holes played, we don't know yet. So it'd be interesting to see what changes are made to LIV's format. Because here's the thing. I know Jon Rahm probably said in that meeting, we need world ranking points.
I was going to say, world ranking points has to be circled on their agenda.
Here's the thing. They had a qualifying school, so
Yeah.
that's a factor that ties into the world golf rankings. They're adding more players. They're going to have people playing in the LIV events. Like you can Monday qualify into the LIV events, but not be part of a team.
Right.
Okay. And then obviously whatever changes they make with the team and the regular play for the 48 contracted players, I don't get how they're not going to. I don't see how it's a possibility they're not going to have world ranking points.
They're going to get it figured out. They're going to make it to where the only way they don't have world ranking points.
So if you were presented
is where
that
it's just
contract,
a clear blackballing of the LIV.
where we actually have a clear vision of LIV's making changes, they're still making changes. I mean, year 2, they're not going to be set in stone.
No.
What business is in year 2?
The PGA Tour wasn't figured out in 1 year.
No, not even. They're still trying to figure it out.
Exactly.
So, I mean, and that's where I kind of lose a little bit of the hypocrite comments about Jon Rahm. It's because the LIV he was talking about in those interviews is not the same LIV it is today.
No.
So it'll be super interested to see who goes with him.
That's like who's going to be on Rahm's team.
We saw the reports that supposedly Tony Finau was going. He announced last night he's staying for his 10th season on the PGA Tour. I didn't even realize he's been out there that long.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
What do you mean allegedly?
I mean, think
that's
about
just
it.
all smoke and mirrors.
Is he puts out this statement a couple hours after the PGA Tour officially suspends Rahm.
Yeah.
So,
that's a smart move.
so he puts the statement
Smart
out.
move.
So, yeah, I'm going to continue to play professional golf on my tour. Well, that can mean one event.
Yeah.
So by the time the PIF agreement, which now the PGA Tour is also entertaining offers from, I can't remember the other.
Not
company.
offers. They're guaranteeing negotiations with PIF and one other entertainment group.
So if you're a player on tour, right, and all this is going on, yeah, it might be smart to put out a statement like that while you're talking to it. Because if it doesn't pan out with PIF, you've got your offer and you can sign that deal and go.
Yeah.
If it does pan out, you can sign that deal and not get suspended.
Yeah. Well, you can sign that. Yeah. Well,
Your
You
suspension
can
gets
play up until you sign your contract, basically, right? So
Well, that's what everyone was joking about. So the PGA Tour did come out last night and they suspended Jon Rahm, and then they also essentially took away all his points he's earned this past year. So Mackenzie Hughes bumped up to number 50 in the world.
right.
That's like a huge jump.
Well, 50 on the PGA Tour.
Or 50 on the PGA Tour, sorry. On the FedEx Cup standings. And
What did they change the FedEx Cup now? What is it called? The FedEx Cup points and
I don't know.
something
Who
other
knows?
standings or something?
No one knows. They just keep changing things every week, and they're like, "Oh, nothing changes." So Jon Rahm, everyone was joking. It's like, does Jon Rahm show up to the Sony Tournament of Champions and and play in an elevated
Or the
event
Century
and,
Tournament
the
of
Century,
Champions? Yeah.
and then
He's uninvited now.
well, now he's suspended. But I saw everyone was joking. It's like, if I was Jon Rahm and I'm not suspended because I haven't played a LIV event yet. Because they made a change. They suspended all the players on the PGA Tour didn't suspend any players until they officially teed it up in that first round of the LIV event.
Yeah.
Jon Rahm, they're like, no, he's just...
So they're kind of making an example out of him.
Yeah.
I think trying to scare some of the other players from leaving. Because quite honestly, I mean, Rahm leaving the PGA Tour, that's big.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the number 1, 2, it kind of depends on the week, ranked player in the world.
Over the last couple of days since he announced it, probably the biggest event, especially since it's in North Carolina, the Wells Fargo, which is an elevated event. What announcement did they make?
What?
They're no longer a sponsor of the PGA Tour after this year. They're not renewing the contract.
There's like 7.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we're starting to see all these big money sponsors that
And historically big event.
Yes, correct.
Why is that the case, Kyle? Why are people pulling out their sponsorship?
Well, it's a dumpster fire right now on tour, but I think a lot of it's that transparency.
No, well, one of the main reasons is because the PGA Tour is going to the sponsors, saying the sponsors themselves have to put up the money for the fields.
Right.
The PGA Tour doesn't have any money after this year, so they're begging sponsors to fulfill however much money they need to finish that purse for these elevated events. Well, what are the purses of the elevated events now? Like $20 million.
20 to 25 million.
20 to $25 million. So you're asking a sponsor themselves to put up that money for your players. That doesn't sound like a well-run organization to me.
There's a lot you can do in marketing for $20 million. You know, if you're a sponsor, right?
You know, but Wells Fargo makes a lot of money at Quail Hollow.
I know.
Right? It's been a staple.
But it's never cost them $20 million.
But it's never cost. It's cost them something.
Yeah, I know.
You know, but because that's the thing, those regular expenses they've always had doesn't just go away.
Right.
Then they're like, PGA Tour's like, well, we need you guys to put up the purse. Well, now you're looking at a sponsor and you're like, well, you don't got Cam Smith, you don't got Bryson DeChambeau, you don't have Brooks Koepka, and you don't have Jon Rahm.
You can't make the argument that you have the best golfers in the world anymore.
Not even close. You know? The PGA Tour cannot say they have the best golfers in the world.
You have some of the best golfers, but not all of them.
What are the LIV guys proving right now?
Well, they're winning.
Yeah. Louis Oosthuizen.
Yeah.
4 weeks in a row, or 3 weeks in a row, 4 different wins.
Yeah.
4 different wins, all LIV players on the DP World Tour. So it'll be interesting to see at the end of this year what the PGA Tour is going to do.
Yeah, what it's going to look like.
I mean, look at Jordan Spieth's comments that he made. I think he is on the player advisory board, like one of the top guys on the PGA Tour's player advisory board, and his statement about Jon Rahm.
What did he say?
He posted a tweet. Don't quote me, but he put out a statement. He goes, "I don't think Jon Rahm did it for the money."
Paraphrase.
Yeah, paraphrase. There we go. He goes, "I don't think Jon Rahm did it for the money. I think Jon Rahm saw two tours that are really not in a good spot right now, and said, shoot, might as well take the money."
Right.
I think with that statement too.
So that's Jordan Spieth making a statement about his own tour.
Yeah.
And I think that's the sad reality of this, both with the rollback with Jon Rahm signing, is the person that's honestly being affected isn't the professional golfer.
It's the
consumer. Mm-hmm. Like when the golf ball does get officially rolled back, the manufacturer is not going to take the loss on having to redo all R&D in the machinery.
Oh no.
The golf balls are going to get more expensive.
Also, the manufacturer only sells balls because they think the pros play that ball. So. Newsflash, guys, your guys are going to play the rollback ball in 2028, even though 2030, they said amateurs. No, the companies aren't going to make, well, even though they have been, but they're not going to make even more different golf balls.
How many people are going to be trying to repaint logos on old non-rollback golf balls and sell them?
The refurbished market's just going, let's go.
And then from the Jon Rahm side of things, from a TV, viewership, is I believe it was My Golf Spy already put out a survey, and they had like 30,000 responses, and it may have been Zyre Golf. It's one of those Instagram golf accounts, right? And they said, with everything going on in golf, and remember, we're at the highest point of the most players ever playing golf.
Yeah.
Or do you plan on watching golf next year? 47% of people that participated in the survey said no.
And why do you think that's the case? Because I think there's more to that. One, golf viewership has become pretty much borderline impossible.
Yeah.
You can't watch more than 10 golf shots in 3 hours.
Well, it's like
because of the commercials.
I was going to say, we've said it plenty of times, you watch commercials and putting.
Yeah.
And everybody likes to see the long ball.
And that's the thing. I think the viewership is the 47% of the vote is saying no to that because of already pre-existing conditions.
Yeah.
Like within, as to why.
Well, golf was one of the few sports that you used to be able to watch and not have to worry about politics.
I was saying, now it's become all politics.
And that's all golf is right now. So I think, from my standpoint, the biggest thing that's got to change, and if not, golf's in a, bad spot for a rude awakening.
Say it's kind of like, I don't know why I just thought of this, but wrestling. When it was
wrestling,
wrestling, however you want to say it, wrestling.
Jesus.
When it was WWE and what was ended up being the shoot off of WWE,
like TNA.
No.
Yeah, WWF, WCW, and then WWE.
And it used to be like you had when you watched wrestling, however you want to say it.
Yeah,
there was one show to watch,
cage fight,
and then they started splitting up and having all these offshoots, and now.
It's SmackDown on Fridays, Raw on Mondays.
And now there's like 3 different versions of it, but nobody watches it anymore.
Yep.
But when you had the Undertaker and Stone Cold Steve Austin, you had to watch to see what was going to happen. I think that's kind of what's happening with the PGA Tour and LIV right now.
Here's what I'm going to say, and I'm going to include, even though we sound like we're just so pro LIV and anti PGA Tour, I do think professional golf will collapse. I think we are starting to see what every great sport has happened.
I don't think it'll completely collapse, but
I know. So here's why I'm saying collapse. I think
hear me out.
Yeah, I guess this is my hear me out. This is why I think it's going to collapse, and I'm not the first to say it. I've heard it on another podcast, things like that. We are seeing what's happened in tennis. It's already happened in tennis, and it's already happened in professional boxing. Boxing, there's so many different belts, so many different leagues. You don't know who's the world champion anymore.
Yeah.
Tennis, the all-pro tennis tour, really no one cares or watches. What do you only watch in tennis?
Wimbledon, the US
the majors.
Open, the French Open, the Australian Open.
Yeah. I mean, you don't watch anything else other than that. That's what I think professional golf is. Unfortunately, it's going to suck for the consumer, but I think that's what it's turning to because you have too many bigwigs that can't get their heads out of their butts. And figure it out because I think golf is going to turn into that to where you're only going to really pay attention to 4 events a year.
I think realistically, greed is going to be the end of professional golf.
Yes.
The days of being able to turn on, whatever weekend of the year it was, turning on TV and watching some golf on there.
And
you're still going to be able to do it, but it's not going to be the same.
And I'm not going to let the players off the hook because you got players that think they're so cool to start a tomorrow golf league.
Yeah.
That everyone knew was going to flop.
But
greed is the word.
The 4 major championships are always going to be
blessing.
Are always going to be prominent and are going to start to dominate the golf market. I think, and I think that's why Rahm wasn't afraid to make the switch to LIV.
Nope. He's locked in for 10 years.
Well, in Masters, he's got a lifetime exemption. He'll continue to compete in the majors for basically as long as he wants to.
Who do you think is going to be leading the odds going into the Masters next year?
Probably Rahm.
He has been like the last 3 years. And wow, he won.
So when Rahm has made his comments about how he, history, tradition is what he values the most and playing for that, the money is not what matters. I think what he's really talking about there are the 4 majors. Those are realistically...
That's really the only tradition.
Those are the only 4 tournaments that matter.
Cup isn't tradition.
Who won... let's say who won what's the LA Open called now? Is it the Infinity? I don't even know what the sponsor is. It used to be the Nissan Open, and
it's the
it's Genesis Open.
It's Tiger's tournament. It's invitational.
Who won the Genesis Open last year?
Max Homa.
Okay, all right. Who won it the year before? Who won it the year before that?
Max Homa, I think. I think he went back to back.
No, he lost, I think, the year before. I don't know.
All right.
I can't remember.
Who won the Masters last year?
Jon Rahm.
Who won it the year before that?
Why am I blanking?
Scotty Scheffler.
Scotty Scheffler, yeah.
Right. The point being there is that you remember the major champions. Now, it just so happens we're a little bit more involved. So you knew Max Homa right off the bat, but I guarantee if you asked the general golfing public or the general
Who won
public,
the Wells Fargo last year?
I can't tell you. And it's here in North Carolina. I don't know who won it.
Who won the Wyndham?
Don't know. And
I know Kyle knows.
I'm being honest when I say that. I don't know. Because I'll be honest, I stopped watching those tournaments.
That's why in my hear me out.
Yeah.
Professional golf will collapse to the events like those. You're still I think professional golf's gonna get to a point where the top dogs across the world, let's just say truly the top 50 players in the world, not top 50 in FedEx Cup, the top 50 players in the world will have the 4 majors. Well, the majors will be no different, but there'll be maybe 8 to 10 other events that everyone will just compete at.
Yeah.
They won't have as big of purses. They won't have a PGA Tour league a part of it. I think eventually professional golf's going to get to a point where there's going to be a revamp and essentially, but what I think will be the positive to that, mini tour life will thrive.
Yeah. I think to me, like
it'll be like how it was probably in the 70s and 80s.
The elevated events are kind of watering down their market by trying to make everything be super important. Nothing is super important.
Thank you.
You know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's my take on it.
Yeah. But I will say to end the conversation, LIV needs to make a change.
Yeah.
LIV,
nothing's got it figured out.
If LIV truly thinks they're going to last 3 years to fulfill Jon Rahm's contract, they need to make a change to their format. I'm a big fan of the shotgun. I know a lot of consumers hate the shotgun. I'm a big fan of it because you can see all golfers on the golf course at one time.
There's definitely pros and cons.
So I think
to
if a LIV event came to your area, there's no better tournament to watch. That said, I think they need to move to 72 holes.
Which I think that's what'll happen with Rahm's contract.
Yeah.
But do it in 3 days. Play 27
do
Friday
27,
and Saturday.
27, 18.
Yeah, 27, 27, 18 shotgun.
Yeah.
That can easily give them carts, let them use shorts, or they already do.
Yeah, so they wear shorts on.
Give them golf carts and then just go with it. Like, be more relatable to the golf fan then.
I say if you give them golf carts, now you can start to mic up the golf carts and
do PGA
do other things
PGA
with
Tour
that.
players walk their home course when they're not playing?
Nah.
What are they usually doing?
Golf carts.
They got their old college stand bag on the back of the cart, golf carts zooming around. Like, why does everything have, like, LIV completely be different then?
Yeah.
Like, go a different route.
Well, I think for a I guess we'll call it like an NBA or an NHL lockout or a blackout to happen, you know, that what could really, this crazy concept here, you know why the PGA Tour was founded?
Why is that?
So it was a player-in organization, right? And so that the players were able to control how their tour was run and operated. The players, regardless of the advisory board or not, because even the members,
they call it a membership, but they're not.
Yeah, so even the people on the board have admitted that they get to suggest and bring things to the commissioner.
That's why it's called an advisory board. They can advise, but they can't actually do anything.
Is you've got to take a step back. Like if you're Jay Monahan and you want like to come out on top of all this mess that you've created, is take it back to a player-in organization and stop worrying about the money. Because guess what happens when the players run it and golf gets fun again? More people watch it.
Yeah, more people going to watch it, and that means more money.
Well, I will say,
if the product is good, it'll fix itself.
There's 4 or 5 players that are running it. But Jay Monahan ain't running the PGA Tour. Tiger Woods is.
Basically, yeah.
Tiger Woods is running the PGA Tour. Why do you think there's a petition right now within the PGA? The PGA Tour is splintered. It's split in half. You got the guys that are on the outside of these elevated events that have a petition out there.
And figuratively.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. That have a petition out there that they're getting players to sign because they don't think it's fair that elevated events get a 270% increase in FedEx Cup points. A 5th place finish in a 70-player field and a 5th place finish in a 155-player field is not the same.
That's why
now the PGA Tour funded media hacks, things like that. They're calling these type of players mules.
Yeah, well, that's why in that statement they released that was suspending Rahm, they were telling the players, trust us. We have done all this research on the point structure, and we believe this is the best way possible.
Yeah. So
just trust us.
That's the thing in these elevated events.
We've thought about you, and we got your best interest in mind.
A 20th place finish in an elevated event is going to get more points than a top 5 finish in a regular PGA Tour event. That is just asinine to me. the odds of one player beating 70 are always way greater than one player beating 155. Doesn't matter who's in the field.
Yeah, we've said it. We've said it several times.
And it's just, but it's funny how there's so much people that know so much more than me that still think that they're going to argue and be like, oh,
you know how you can fix a FedEx Cup?
Get rid of it.
Get rid of it.
Go off of average finish.
Well, at least Kyle and I are on the same page. So, but
You know who should be the champion at the end of the year?
Who?
Whoever wins the most.
Wow.
wow,
Crazy
who would've
concept.
thought? Wow.
All right. Well,
You know who gets second place?
I will say no because I will say
think
Victor Hovland. I'm glad Victor Hovland won
Yeah,
because
I
there's been some BS FedEx champions. Like think
Yeah,
about the year Rory won. He won 2 events that season and somehow won the FedEx Cup. But whatever.
I say Hovland played the best at the right time of year.
He had a lot of wins.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well, that's the bombshell for the last 7 days.
you don't have to hear us talk about it anymore, which is good.
I promise we do actually like golf and like watching golf.
I love golf. I love golf.
Well, I think the last 7 days for at least my lifetime in golf, about 17 years of, being in the golf world, this is the biggest 7 days as far as like un-Tiger related that's ever happened. So
Yeah, probably so.
It's okay to have a one opinion once in 17 years about something. So
Yeah.
well, now to the fun segment, show and tell.
All right.
Let's see what we got cooking for
Let's
us.
see what we got.
Yeah.
Can't wait to repair these.
I'm going to still use our structure. I'm going to say birdie.
Okay.
Okay. Reason why I'm saying birdie is I think they're actually going to be a pretty decent performing iron because it has a decent shaft in it. It's going to have a decent set of grips, and it's a great deal for a player that really just can't afford a full 7-piece set of irons. Anything more than that, $499. Okay. Also, why I'm saying it's a birdie, these clubs are made in the same factory as any of those other direct-to-consumer brands. So just because it has Kirkland on it, it's no different than someone going out there. And that's why I'm not a fan of the direct-to-consumer companies, is because they don't really have the R&D that the other manufacturers have.
It's a little more cookie cutter.
It's more cookie cutter, and they're all made in the same factory in China. So, like, these aren't anything different. It's just a Costco brand. I'd much rather Costco put out Costco clubs instead of Bettinardi going into a Costco and lessening the value of their putter. So that's why I'm saying these are birdie.
Okay.
Now, the performance, like Kyle said, they're probably going to break. But like any of those direct-to-consumer brands.
I'm going to go with par. The reason I'm going with par is I think if you're a beginner on a budget, it's a great option. Because, the same week the USGA rolls back the ball and hurts amateur golf, Costco comes out and says, checkmate, we're going to help grow the game at a good price point. The problem that we run into with stuff like this is, like, they stamp the word forged on it. And the face on this golf club's forged, and then it's welded to a cast body. The other thing is it's one thing to just go and buy a set of clubs unfit, but when you're spending, $500 and they say they're getting these Elevate shafts, it's also one weight. You're not getting to choose the shaft, the length, the grip. So
you're removing the options for price.
correct.
Realistically, these irons are only going to fit ages of probably 17 to 30.
And even if it does, like, let's say
They're Elevate 115s. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So now, obviously, probably people into their 40s, but
now you can.
They're targeting the young golfer.
Yeah, and you can still get retrofitted, but so think about it from this perspective: is you go to Costco for $500, right? And you go out and play, and you're 6'4", or you're 4'7". So now I've got clubs that are too short or clubs that are too long.
Right.
So I have two options: I can just cut them down and lose swing weight, or I can reshaft them.
Yeah.
Well, even if we go with a X100 at $29.99 retail, we have to reweight them, regrip them. Well, now you're $1,100, $1,200 deep on a $500 set, where with like companies like Mizuno, for $137.50 for a hot metal pro, which is about the same size as this iron, you can get 39 different non-upcharge shaft options, 41 grip options, and you're kind of net averaging about the same price that you would on fitting the set to you.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't care about the fitting aspect, again, that's why I said par. It's a good price to get you going.
Trust me, that's why I said it's a birdie, because I like accessibility.
I was gonna say I would give it. I'm gonna give it a birdie because performance yet to be determined, but it's a good economical option for golfers who are just getting into the game or who
Or
don't have the budget to spend $1,200 on a set
and you
of
love
irons.
to play every other week, you can maybe splurge on those, which is nice.
Golf needs more
for sure, because
economical options.
Because next year, every iron right now that we already know is going to $220 a club.
Yeah.
So you're going to spend $1,500 minimum on new irons going forward. Yeah. Look at them shoes.
New counterbalance lab Mez. So Carmelo Villegas, obviously, first time in 6 years winning, or even longer maybe.
Oh, it's been a long time.
Switches.
There's also a lady that just won on the LPGA with one.
I didn't even realize he was still playing golf until he won that event.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so happy for him.
I think
He's been through the past few years losing his daughter.
This for me is a home run. What do we call that? A flush. Because now you've got the same like with Lab, you've already got a company that's kind of breaking the mold of traditional like fitting in general. And what's been really popular over the last year, counterbalance putters.
Yeah.
Well, instead of just slapping a longer grip on it and calling it counterbalance, with this Mez Max head, there's actually 2 sets of weights. So they've actually took the head weight, the shaft length, and the grip weight all into consideration to actually make it counterbalanced while incorporating their anti-torque technology.
I'm going to say flush just because what was the running joke when Kyle sent us the picture of it on Saturday? I made the joke about, we had a tournament Saturday, first round of a tournament Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon.
He said, I'm going to pick it up and play with it.
I said, I'm going to go pick it up and play with it. That's how good these putters are. I almost essentially picked up that putter and immediately went and just put it in play in a tournament.
Yeah.
I'm still going to get it. 100%. That's the putter I'm going to order.
It's going in the bag, huh?
It's going to be in the bag soon.
Wow.
That being said, of course, when I joke about getting a new putter, what do? I put lights out with my current counterbalance. So
that's the way it goes usually.
That's usually how it goes.
As soon as you threaten
I'm
the
gonna
game,
say flush just because I've been using a counterbalance putter, and honestly, I haven't putted any. Like, it's the best I've putted in a while. So, I just want a little bit more forgiveness in my putting. So I'm gonna go to the lab. So flush.
What do we call it if we all take flush? Is that a royal flush?
I guess so.
All right, I guess our
it's
first royal flush.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad when you like it.
I was gonna say, when I like a putter, it must be pretty damn good, you know. Flush.
No, I just think it's. I've constantly been asking Kyle. I was like, "Do you think Lab will ever make a counterbalance?" And at the time, you were thinking it might not have made sense, but their technology is all really in the head, so it shouldn't matter what length it is.
I think this is a putter where their technology makes the most sense. Having a little bit of mass in the hands to kind of help quiet the handle down a little bit for certain strokes and really let the the zero torque take control.
Yeah. So, and the cool thing too, it's what's different about that putter compared to a normal Lab. What's in the picture there?
Yeah, the 17-inch Super Stroke non-press grip.
Non-press grip, so normal grip, so you can still use a normal grip on a Lab putter. You can do that on the short putters.
Yep.
But also, too, even though you're paying an upcharge for the counterbalance putter, they recommend you go with that $100 graphite Acra.
Mm-hmm. And they include it.
That's
no
extra fee.
It's no extra fee. So, yes, you're paying a little more. I mean, but what we did, Matthew, like saving $30 normally.
Yep.
So, it comes with a great build. So, I mean, Lab putters have been our number one putter in the store. I don't foresee that changing at all going in the future.
Well, they're not a marketing company; they're a golf company, and I think that's
and they're not. And trust me, they don't pay us to say this, at all. I would love if they did.
I mean, when we have 30 handicap players buying this product and they're averaging 40 putts, they switch to one of these and then they get down to low 30s.
Like, that's a game changer.
That's what screams volume. Like, it's cool that Lucas Glover won 2 weeks in a row and Adam Scott's using it, but that's irrelevant to the normal golfer, right? What matters is when you're shooting 110 with 50 putts around or 40 putts around and you get fit for one of these and you start averaging 31 to 33 putts without changing your swing. Yeah. I mean, that's a huge, like, motivational jump. So I'm
going to be pissed if I'm playing against you because you're handicapped still. No, but you're 100% right. The technology has proven itself, so it'll be interesting to see what's coming out in the future. Damn,
that word is giving you a hell of a time today.
I'm done. That's it.
All right, flush. Put it on there.
Awesome. Well, if you guys haven't already, be sure to subscribe on here and turn on those push bell notifications. And like I said earlier, hop on our Instagram, enter those contests. It costs literally $0. And some of the prizes coming up, you're definitely going to want to win. So we'll catch you on the next one.